The Department for Work and Pensions, DWP, is facing mounting pressure to reverse its recent decision that stripped vital financial support from millions of pensioners across the UK. The winter fuel payment, a crucial lifeline providing £300 to help elderly citizens cope with increasing heating bills during the winter months, has ignited fierce political debates and public outrage. Following a disappointing performance in recent local elections, the Labour Party is now re-evaluating its stance to regain the trust of its traditional supporters. At the centre of the turmoil is Chancellor Rachel Reeves' decision to implement means testing for the winter fuel payment shortly after Labour took office. This move effectively cut the benefit for approximately 10 million pensioners, a decision that has not sat well with many constituents who feel neglected. Reeves justified her decision as a necessary measure to address a staggering £22 billion deficit left by the previous Conservative government. However, the backlash has been swift and severe, particularly in Labour strongholds in Northern England and the Midlands, where voters feel abandoned by their leaders. Labour leader Sir Keir Starmer is now under immense pressure from within his party to reconsider the means testing policy. Reports indicate that he is actively weighing two options, either raising the income threshold at which pensioners begin to lose eligibility for the payment, currently set at £11,500, or scrapping the cuts entirely and restoring the full benefit. Insiders suggest a decision could come soon, potentially within weeks, as Starmer seeks to reconnect with working-class voters who feel increasingly alienated from the party. The past fortnight has been a tumultuous period for the Labour government, with internal tensions running high. One party insider characterised it as the most challenging time since they took power, acknowledging the emotional strain among party members. Criticism has mounted over the administration's focus on financial spreadsheets at the expense of core Labour values like compassion and social support for the vulnerable. This discontent is palpable among the Labour Red Wall Group, a faction of roughly 45 MPs representing constituencies in the North and Midlands. They have publicly urged the government to reconsider its policy, emphasising that listening to the electorate's concerns should be viewed as a sign of responsive leadership rather than weakness. The pressure for change is undeniable, with calls for action growing louder as public outrage continues to escalate. In a bid to clarify the government's position, DWP Minister Liz Kendall addressed the controversy in a letter to Debbie Abrahams, the Labour MP who chairs the Work and Pensions Select Committee. Kendall acknowledged that the decision to means test the winter fuel payment was not one the government anticipated or desired. She reiterated that difficult decisions were necessary to manage the financial mess inherited from the previous administration. Despite this, Kendall stressed the government's commitment to supporting those in greatest need while stabilising the economy. However, for countless pensioners, particularly those marginally above the income threshold, this decision feels like a betrayal. The winter fuel payment has long been viewed as an essential support measure, transcending party lines and providing dignity to older citizens during the harshest months of the year. Critics argue that targeting pensioners to resolve the country's economic woes is both politically reckless and morally dubious, especially as inflation and energy costs remain high. The outcry against the cuts has resonated across social media, community meetings, and advocacy groups representing the elderly. Many warn that the reduction in support could push vulnerable individuals into hardship and isolation. Furthermore, experts highlight the potential public health implications, noting that cold homes are associated with increased risks of respiratory illnesses, heart problems, and even excess winter deaths among the elderly. Cutting this financial support could ultimately lead to higher NHS costs in the long run. Local services and charities that assist older residents are also bracing for a surge in demand as winter approaches. The opposition parties have seized the opportunity to criticise Labour's handling of the winter fuel payment, characterising it as a failure of leadership and a betrayal of the party's working-class roots. Both the Liberal Democrats and the SNP have called for an immediate reversal of the cuts, framing the issue as a litmus test for Starmer's moral integrity. With a general election looming on the horizon, the stakes are high for Labour. Insiders warn that failing to address this issue could alienate a significant segment of the party's base. A quick reversal of the cuts could signal a return to Labour's core values and demonstrate that the government is attuned to public sentiment. If either of Starmer's proposed options, raising the income threshold or fully reinstating the benefit, comes to fruition, it could mean thousands of pensioners are up to £300 better off this winter. For many, this amount is not just a bonus, it is a lifeline that could determine whether they can afford to heat their homes or not. As the debate continues, the clock is ticking. Will Labour double down on its original decision, or will it take this opportunity to make amends with the public? The coming weeks will be pivotal, not only for the pensioners hoping to reclaim their lost benefits but also for the political future of the Labour Party itself. The message from the public is resoundingly clear: Britain's elderly deserve better. They have contributed to society throughout their lives and deserve the support they need in return. The nation is watching closely, and the pressure is on for the government to respond decisively.